Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to change our life. To Sichos, Chelek Aleph, Parshas Vayishlach. Okay, let's get right into it. Okay, just before we start, quick story, which is actually going to bring down, but I think it's a beautiful story. It's one of my favorite songs. The eighth day singing the song. I don't know what it's called, but when you hear the story, you can find it after. Basically, the story goes like this. There was a chassid that came to the Maggid, and he came to his house, and he saw his house was like empty. There was nothing much there. It was bare minimum. So he comes in, he's like, "Hey, Rebbe, where's all your stuff? Like, you have nothing here." So the Rebbe Maggid said to him, he goes, one second, he goes, "What about you? Where are your stuff?" So he goes, "Me? Whatever, my stuff's all at home. Like I'm traveling, I'm on a trip. So I don't have everything with me, but at home I have everything." So he said, so too with me. I'm on a trip in this world. So I don't have all my stuff's in Gan Eden, it's in Lamayel and Shemaim. And the Maggid was trying to explain to him that what's important over here is not the Dvarim Gashmim. And this is sort of what we're going to learn in the Simcha, to understand how we see things and how we can align ourselves to seeing it in the right way. It's a beautiful Simcha. Let's go straight into it. Parshas Vayishlach. Allah pasuk on the pasuk, Im Lavan Garti, with love and I lived. So what does Rashi explain? And this is such a simple, the beauty of learning Chassidus in the Rebbe is the Rebbe asks you questions that you can answer, that you can have. So we should be able to have these questions. And when we learn this and we try to internalize it, when you start to learn Rashi, you learn anything, you start to see it through the Rebbe's lens, start to ask these questions yourself. So what does it say? It says in the pasuk, in love and God, with love and I lived. So what does Rashi explain? He says, and I kept 630 mitzvahs. The Yaakov is telling Esav all this. He's telling Esav, I was in Lavan, and I kept all the mitzvahs. So now, if we think about it for 5 seconds, first of all, how does this work with the Pirush HaPashat? How is this the simple explanation in the pasuk? Rashi is always coming to bring the simple explanation. Tayag mitzvah shamarti. Where is he getting that from the simple pshat? Second of all, why are you telling Esav? Esav is a Rasha, and he's not very happy to see Yaakov. He's not happy that he wants to go kill Yaakov. So what's Yaakov telling him? I kept mitzvahs. Esav not shaykh to mitzvahs. And also, ultimately, Torah is Lashon Hira. Torah is a book of lessons. So what's it for us? And I think this is a fundamental. The beauty of learning these sichos is that the Rebbe constantly repeats itself. And I remember once I was thinking about it, like, why? I learned a few sichos. How many times do you tell us the same part? And I realized because the Rebbe is trying to ingrain it within us that when we look at Torah, we learn some Torah, we learn the Chumash. We ask ourselves, what am I meant to be learning from this? How am I meant to be changing my life? How am I meant to be more connected to Hashem from this? And this is one way to look at it. So let's do inside. Divrei Rashi elu tonis havhara. So Rashi, we need to understand this. First of all, Ketzav Chalzes Mishtalev Pirush HaPashut Shalamila Garti Shehu Muvan Shal Gerus. Garti means Gerus. How does that work with the explanation of 613? West say that it means in Lavan Garti I lived, and I lived so really what it means I lived like as a foreigner in this place. But Rashi is saying it means that I kept mitzvahs. Where does he get it from? How is that the simple pshat? How is that the simple explanation of the pasuk? And second of all, they say Ma haya al Yaakov le'dia le'Esav al shmiras mitzvahs. Why is Yaakov telling Esav I fulfilled mitzvahs? Well, it doesn't make any sense. It's like going to a family member that's not from. You say, I'm very good keeping mitzvahs. They don't care. It doesn't make sense. It's a weird thing to say. You can connect with them. It's something that they connect with. To say that, it's weird. And thirdly, Heichan Tu'uno Kan Hayra. What is the lesson we get from this? Torah, from the Lashon Hira. Torah is a book of lessons. For us, now times, what do we learn from this? How can we live with this idea? That's the three questions. Again, the three questions are, Where does Rashi get it? The simple pshat means taryag mitzvah shamarta, that in Lavan Garti, the Garti means mitzvahs. Now Garti literally, it's the same letters as taryag, but that's not the simple pshat, the simple meaning of the pasuk. So where is Rashi getting this from? This idea. Second of all, why is he telling Esav this? Esav is not a guy that seems to care so much about mitzvahs. And third of all, what are we learning? How do we apply this to ourselves? Base hasvaras advarim. So the explanation is like this: Im Lavan Garti. What is Rashi? What is Yaakov telling Esav? Calling Yane Lavan Arami. All the ideas of Lavan, that was, Lavan, like we said last week, he wasn't a good person. Meaning, in our terms, the gashish of the world, physical things, hazem, shor v'chamer. That's what Yaakov tells him. I've the shor and ox, a chamer and donkeys, toin, cattle, the eved and servants, shivcha and maid servants. All the things that I have. This is all by Yaakov. In Yaakov's eyes, the way he thought about them was like a gerus, sojourning, meaning, not really his kach, his things. Zarim hayulay, they were foreign to him. This is not what Yaakov Avinu is about. And this is it's a very beautiful idea, because if you think, you have to understand this well. Because on one hand, he has all these things. We're not saying he shouldn't have gashmis, but the way he looked at it wasn't that as important to him. What's important to him wasn't that. The diday to Yaakov, what's important? Rak haneshama v'ateva mitzvahs. Baisim loy hakarib melad. His house things, his what's his possessions? His Torah mitzvahs. That's what's important to him. Like the Rav Magi, the Magi Muzich saying, like, where's all my stuff? What's important for me is Torah mitzvahs. There's things I don't really need. That's what we're saying. Yaakov, that he's telling Esav. Still don't understand why, but he's telling Esav, I was with Lavan and I got all this stuff, but I'm all that mitzvahs. I didn't lose it just because I have all these things. Mashmaos zum tefuna gam b'pasuk achar b'parshas. This in another pasuk we see all this idea. What does it say? It says v'yivin lebayis, that what happened? Yaakov built himself a house. And to his cattle, asa sukkos, he made a sukkah. Sukkos is a non-permanent dwelling. And what does this mean? So, Yaakov to himself, meaning neshama b'nyana, he's neshama, and the ideas of the neshama. Bana v'hechin diras keva, he made for himself a permanent structure. For neshama, mitzvahs, that was his permanent structure. Whereas for his cattle and his sheep and those things, everything that he acquired, it's addition to what he has, but it's from the outside. Because neshama for itself, being as it is above, the neshama itself has no relevance to animals and sheep and cattle and gashmis. Only when the neshama comes down into this physical world, it acquires these things in addition to itself. There's a neshama down here in the body. That's like a secondary thing. And all these acquirements, like Yaakov got, they're secondary to the neshama. Hagashmas. So for those things, asa sukkos, dir asarai. He made a sukkah, which is a non-permanent dwelling. Meaning, what we're learning from that pasuk, it teaches like this: that Yaakov, even when he got very wealthy, which is again, like we're saying, it's not a bad thing; it's a good thing. But he didn't lose, like we said in last week's Sikha, he didn't lose himself in it. What was important to him is Torah mitzvahs. That was always important to him. And even when he was in Lavan's house, and he was struggling with Lavan for many years, he had to live with him, he had to suffer with him, and Lavan was a trickster and did all these problems for him. And he made his life very miserable, and Yaakov was very successful. Yaakov was coming to Esav, don't think that just because I became successful, begashmis, doesn't mean I lost my derech. I'm still connected, and all I care about is Torah mitzvahs. I have all these things, and we should have all the gashmis, but they shouldn't take us away from Torah mitzvahs. They should take us away from that connection. And that's what he's telling. And that's what he's telling Esav. And there it brings down that story. The Fidigo says in one of his sichos, the story from the Magid, she hit butter, beveis sheine dvarim, kalema, kol adam, meunyan, shavesi malay kol tov. That someone came to him and said, "Oh, will he stop?" And he said, every house wants all the good things, We want to have a nice house, you want a house to be full. What? When you're going traveling, you stay in the inn, the hotel. It's not so nice. I don't all these things. It's not your house. It's the same way as your house. And he said, and we're on the way. I don't have all these things. I'm, so to speak, staying in the hotel. So of course you don't expect to be everything there. Saying meaning what the Rebbe is bringing out here is by the Magid, what was important was Torah mitzvahs. And so even in his house, he didn't need all these things. It wasn't like he didn't feel lacking because he didn't have those things. He didn't care about those things. Now we can understand the connection between what Rashi is saying and the lashon of Garti. Shikein Irak mitoch hazaris le'gashmiyos ha'elam efshar shmis medukdekas shel tag mitzvahs. Garti and tayag mitzvahs, they go together. I'll explain. Mibli hisbatim umaloi yafriu lekach, and it shouldn't bother. I mean like this. Everyone's saying, why does Rashi say Lavan Garti means tayag mitzvah shmartim? That Yaakov is saying, and Rashi is bringing this out, that he was Garti, he was Gerus, he was sojourning, he was foreign to him. It wasn't his Iker where he was. What was Iker to him was Torah mitzvahs. And that's what Rashi is saying, that the simple pshat of what Yaakov is saying, he's not saying that I was a foreigner, I was a sojourner in Lavan's house. He was saying, I didn't get caught up in Lavan's house. All that wealth that I got wasn't important to me. It was all the mitzvahs that was important to me. And that's what Rashi is saying, that's the simple pshat. And that's why Rashi is bringing it down. He's saying through that, and what the lesson for us, what we're learning here, is when we make the non-important things, if we keep them not important, so therefore we're able to connect, even if you're in Lavan's house, even, and you can become very wealthy and very successful. I don't want to take you away from any of these things. And this is the lesson that we're learning over here. And it's a beautiful idea. Meaning, we're not saying that you shouldn't have gashmis. What we're saying is that Yaakov had all the gashmis, but Yaakov was showing Esav that I have all these things, but but they're not important to me as much as it's important to me Torah mitzvahs. That's what we're saying. And this is a lesson for all of us, that we can have all the gashmis we need and have plenty of archava. We shouldn't have any issues. We have plenty parnas of archava and all the good things. But that shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be Torah mitzvahs, having our kids grazing in the house of Torah mitzvahs, and when the kids realize what's important to you, they'll know that it's the Torah mitzvahs that are important to you. Not just because, and you can dress nice, you can have all the good kashrus. It's not taking away from that. But what's important to us is connection to Hashem, and that's what the kid feels, and that's what we're saying here. Vayishlach, and even furthermore, when gashrus is considered by a person like a gerus, like a foreign thing, like a non-permanent, it's not only does it not get in the way of ruchnius, the ruchnius make it possible for the gashmis. Until we transform the gashmis, even the gashmis is holy. Meaning, not just like we're saying until now, that when you have that if your kach is in Torah mitzvahs and you don't get sidetracked, so therefore the gashmis doesn't get in the way. You can still have all those. You're saying even more. Those things can help us get even greater and get even deeper and a better connection. And that's what we're saying. That's an even deeper level. The first level is I can have gashus. It's not going to get in the way. I can still do Torah mitzvahs. I can separate myself from the world when I need to, and I'll be fine. But the third level is the second level that we're talking about here is even deeper level. That even in that gashus that I have, I bring it out. And the most simplest of examples is Moshe Rabashkin. He has a mansion, and the mansion is used for simchas and for things. You have all the gashes, but it's all there. Not just he has gashes and doesn't get in the way of Torah mitzvahs, but the whole purpose for it is to express more Torah mitzvahs. And this is sort of what we're saying over here. We'll finish it off. This is also what it means in the end of the pasuk. And I have all these things. I have the shur, the ox, and the chamor, the donkey, and cattle, the eved, and servants, the shivcha, and maid servants. They became to the level of li. The higher li. What does it mean? They came to the level of li. Me. Not just to have these things that are in the way, but they become mine. What does it mean mine? That they're part of mine to use that for the good. That they come part of me to do good things with it. And that's what he's saying. The Yaakov transformed, not just he has the gashes doesn't get in the way of Torah mitzvahs, the gash be used itself for the Torah mitzvahs. And they became mine. I mean, just like I'm Yaakov, that Yaakov mitzvah shemarti, all about Torah mitzvahs, again to Hashem. Also, everything that I earn, also the gashmis, all the good things I have in my house is used for Torah mitzvahs. And this is sort of the goal, to have the gashes and use it out for Torah mitzvahs. Mitzvah Hashem to be continued tomorrow. And we should think about this and how where are we holding in this level, and where do we need to move, in which direction, and we should be successful at it. Have a great day.